Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So is 4K video worth it in 2022? So this is a question that you as a creator might be asking yourself, especially if you're wondering if you should invest in more equipment that does 4K, such as your camera or maybe a smartphone that could do 4K really well. Well, in the past, I have done videos talking about 4K versus using something like 1080p. And if you didn't want to see my thoughts on that, I'll leave that in the description area below. But now we are in 2022. More people than ever have 4K, and in some cases more than 4K TVs and monitors. And also more and more people are used to seeing 4K content. So in this case, should you shoot your YouTube videos in 4K? Well, in this case, from my own personal experience, I feel for the majority of people, no. And the reasons why I'm saying this is for the same reasons why I had previously. First and foremost is that 4K takes a lot. It takes up a lot of space. It takes up a lot of processing power. And also it takes up a lot of time, especially if you're editing videos in 4K. So in this case, if you're doing everything in 4K, more than likely, if you don't have a very powerful computer and GPU, you're more than likely going to have to use some type of proxy clips. That does take time, especially if you're producing really long, complex projects. And then you also have to think about the rendering time and then finally upload times. So all of those things are still a huge factor. And then another thing that I would say is still an even bigger factor is the fact that most people watch YouTube videos on their smartphones. You know, most people aren't watching the majority of their YouTube videos on their TVs or monitors versus people who are actually watching it on mobile devices. And that's still the case today. And then the second part of it is there is definitely a reason to use 4K if you're thinking about it, which starts off with the whole quality issue. 4K definitely looks better than 1080p, especially if you are watching it on a bigger screen. And also in terms of like kind of future proofing, most people still don't have 4K TVs yet. And so it's going to take a while before higher resolution formats like 8K become a normal standard thing. And so that's kind of like where I feel 4K is at right now, even in 2022. I really feel that it's not necessary and mandatory for you to do 4K because of those reasons as I mentioned. And also, if you did want a higher resolution, but you didn't want all the other things that come along with doing everything in 4K, you could always take a 1080p video, and then whenever you render or export it, you can do that in 4K. And even though it won't be real 4K, it's still going to look pretty good even when it's upscaled, and it's going to be at a quote-unquote higher resolution whenever you're watching this on other devices, even though it is going to be stretched out. So that is another way in which you can get kind of like pseudo 4K with 1080p original files. And so those are my thoughts on it. If you actually had any of your own ideas on using 4K in 2022 or beyond, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And if you did want to see more of my YouTube tutorials, tips, and thoughts, I do have an entire playlist. I'll leave that in the description area below. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. For professional virtual business locations, check out Anytime Mailbox with more than 1,300 locations worldwide at affordable rates. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below.